So I'm going to take some liberty here and talk about last week's Torah portion. Why? Well, because it was my birthday. So it was my, actually, once in a while, your birthday falls on the same week than your original birthday when it comes to the weekly reading of the Torah. And that was the case for me this year. My birthday was on the Sunday of the week, the Shabbat, that had the same, my birth portion. And I have a double one, because, of course, the second of the two is called Kedoshim. And it's not because of me. I mean, it is, but it's not really because of me. But it's really kind of especially that first verse has really become the central pillar of the edifice that is Judaism. Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. That's how that's why the Torah portion is named Kedoshim, because it's the first word, Kedoshim tihiyu, that jumps out of the ordinary in the first verse. That's how you name Torah portions. Because in most of the Torah, most verses would start with, and God spoke to Moses saying. So you cannot have all the Torah portions called, and God spoke to Moses saying, because you wouldn't know which Torah portion it is. Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh Adonai Elohech. Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Usually gets translated as, you shall be holy, for I, the Eternal One, am holy. And that sentence, you shall be holy, really became like I said, the cornerstone of what Judaism was going to be about. And all our rabbis for the last 2,000 years have devised way to be true to that first, you shall be holy, that commandment. And they have written and discussed and argued and set up rules and set up laws and set up ways of behavior and way of being in order to approximate their understanding of what it looks like to be holy, because we were commanded to be holy. Really, the whole of Judaism is, how can we translate that? What does it mean? How do we actualize that in our lives? I mean, there's a great feeling at the core of Judaism that we are supposed to be the priests of the world. Like our nation should be a nation of priests for the world. And because we have this injunction in the Torah that tells us, you shall be holy. And we have tried everything to approximate what that looks like, right? The whole edifice of Judaism is basically on that. Because it's my birth Torah portion. Now, because that's the way it is. But I am so perplexed about that. Because I think I hate to say that, and yet, here I go. We've missed the point. We've missed the point of that verse. Because we understand that God would never ask of us to become or to transform ourselves into something that is not achievable. Who amongst us could ever pretend waking up one morning and shout to the world, I have achieved holiness? So there is a little bit of a disconnect here between the injunction or the verse there. If we understand it as an order, a commandment to be holy, you shall be holy. If we understand this as a commandment to be holy, and therefore build an entire religious edifice to match or try to match that commandment, knowing full well that we will never get there. It is not humanly possible for you and me to be absolutely 110% pure, unblemished, and completely holy, second by second, breath after breath. It is just not possible. So why, first of all, would God ask us to do that if we understood that verse as a commandment? And what is the hubris that our sages, came up with thousands of years ago, and since then, to say, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to achieve this. We're going to have so many rules and so many laws and so many ways to restrict life and to eat this way and to have sex this way and to have every single, and still we can't do it. So what is this verse about? What is this saying? So we can't understand it as a commandment. It's like the 10 Commandments. I always say, you can't read those as commandments. They are pronouncement, actually, in Hebrew. The 10 Commandments in Hebrew is actually the 10 pronouncements, the 10 utterances, the 10 sayings. They don't command us anything. And here is the same. It's because sometimes so the Hebrew is ambivalent, because the Hebrew is beautiful this way. You can understand the word that says you shall, TU in Hebrew, as an imperative. You shall be holy. Or you can understand it as a statement. Right? You can understand it as you will be holy. You will know yourself to be holy. Why? Because I, the Eternal One, your God, I am holy. Okay, so there is a very beautiful logical sentence here, where we have, the beginning of the sentence equal the end of the sentence. Why are you holy? You will be holy. You will know yourself to be holy. Holy, why? Because I, the Eternal One, your God, I am holy. Why are you holy? Because I am holy. How are you going to know yourself to be? Well, because I am holy. So if I am holy, you're holy. Okay, so now we're talking about something else. What is this about? This may be not about trying to pursue holiness, but maybe if we think about it from a different perspective and read that verb from a different place, we can understand the verse to mean, you will recognize yourself as holy because you already are, right? If you understand it like this, it's like you recognize that you are already holy. And why are you already holy? Because me, God, I am holy, and as God, I don't make junk. Nothing comes out of me that is unholy. What kind of a God would I be if I, the Eternal One, your God, would create things that are just broken or just not holy? But we have a problem here because the ego looks at itself and is like, I'm very flawed, I'm not. Yeah, we're not talking about your behavior. That can always be worked on and improved. Go for it. But intrinsically, that's what the sentence is saying. Intrinsically, as you are born, you are holy. It's also, Judaism doesn't have the original sin. That's a Christian idea. We don't have an original sin. So none of us is born in sin. We were just ushered out of the Garden of Eden because we decided to be born. And that's a completely different story for another time. But we don't have the notion of original sin in Judaism. You can't insert that in here. You are born, you are inherently holy because you come from God. You come from me. I am holy, ergo, you are holy. What you need to do, though, what is the injunction about, is that you have to remember that because you've forgotten. You have forgotten. You have forgotten that you are holy. You have fallen into an identification with the ego that sees itself as flawed, rightfully so. And you have forgotten your essence. You have forgotten who you are. And who you are is I, born as you. This is the Kabbalistic perspective of what creation is, that this world is born out of the Shekhinah, out of the divine feminine presence, out of the divine feminine. We are the manifestation of the most holy. Therefore, of course, we are holy. Of course. And the injunction is exactly that. You will know yourself or will remember yourself to be holy because I, the Eternal One, your God, am holy, and you and I are not two. We're not two things. We're not two things. You're an extension of me. I am the tree, the trunk of the tree, and you are my branches. Don't think of yourself as disconnected from the trunk. That is not possible. The ego thinks that it is separate from the trunk. But no, the Eternal One is saying, I am the trunk of the tree of life, and you are my branches and my leaves and my flowers. I am holy? Well, you think my branches are not holy because they are different looking than the trunk? But no. You are extensions of me. You have manifestations of me. You are the way I manifest in this realm of existence. I am dreaming you into being, moment to moment. I'm dreaming this whole thing into being. You are holy. So to me, this is fascinating that it took me a long time, When you have your birth Torah portion, you're supposed to really try to find within it year after year more and more and more of the message that it has for you. And I'm still working on this, but at this stage of my life, this core verse in the Torah, which belongs to my birth Torah portion, speaks to me in ways that are just shining and full of light and holding an incredible message for my life, but for all of our lives. And if this is to be, I'm going to end here. And if this is to be the core verse that built the edifice of Judaism, if we could reinterpret that verse the way that maybe it was intended to be heard and to be understood, away from the ego and the perception of separation that sees itself as not God, as separate from God. What kind of a God is that? What kind of an edifice would we build on this new understanding? What kind of a deep, profound, spiritual, religious movement could be born of that understanding of this verse that has become the pillar, the cornerstone of Judaism? If our rabbis everywhere in the world will come up and remind those who come to pray or come to be in communion with the divine that they are the branches of the tree of the one, not separate from it, I think it would change everything. I think it would change everything. It would change how we relate to each other. It would change how we decide to manifest and grow that tree as the world. And grow that tree as the world. And recognize that, other branches may have different colors and speak different languages. Different leaves are designed and different. But they're all branches of the one tree. We're all branches of the one tree. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my birth portion the mandatory birth portion for everyone. I'm going to impose my ego and on the Jewish world. But just, it's, jokes aside, take this verse as your own. Listen to its words. Listen to what the Torah is trying to teach us. And remember who you are as a branch of the one presence. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Amen.